this world, we're going to see that it's not just oil that's the problem, the limitations of oil, but the limitations of water is going to be even worse, because that we really need to use. We need that to survive. We don't really need oil to survive. My name is Tom Lamar, and I'm the Executive Director of the Palouse Clearwater Environmental Institute in Moscow, Idaho. We have been doing a lot of work to increase citizen involvement in the decisions that citizens are making about the environment to help people conserve water. And so we contract with both the City of Moscow and the cities of Pullman to help residents in those two communities figure out ways that they can best reduce the amount of water that they're using. We do have a limited resource of water. We don't know exactly where the bottom of the bathtub is and what that looks like and how it's shaped, but we do know that it's a finite source and that recharge is very limited. And so we have very excellent quality of water here, and what we need to do is make sure that we can preserve it for as long as possible. The water that's coming out of the wastewater treatment plant, and right now it's being put in Paradise Creek, and it flushes on down to Pullman and keeps on going. That water's been treated pretty heavily. A lot of the stuff's been taken out of it, primary, tertiary treatment, even perhaps beyond that, to getting it to a pretty high quality of water. There are always still contaminants, and we could, with more investment, we can take out even more contaminants. And sometimes, given the limiting factors of the quality of water, even temperature is a contaminant. So to cool down the water is a big deal for the creek. There's a lot that people can do within their homes so that they're, using water more than one time before it leaves the house. And the best way to do that is if a house is double plumbed. So, if somebody's brushing their teeth, that water goes into a container that can then be used to flush the toilets. Or if they take a shower, the same kind of thing. So it always seems criminal to me to use a toilet that is full of drinking water. And that water, just got pumped out of the ground. It's like 10,000 years old. It's going through our pipes, it gets treated, and then it lands in the toilet, and then we, use it once, and then it's gone. And that just seems crazy. So the Jim LaFortune Groover is a project that we're doing here at PCEI. A composting toilet, in our situation, will drop down into this basement room, and all that stuff goes down there, and then there are baffles, which actually moves the material around and aerates it, and keeps the temperature going, keeps the moisture going properly, mixes the nutrients. So we want to make sure that there's a proper carbon to nitrogen ratio in order for composting to take place. Everything that people are getting rid of is going into the digester for the composting toilet, and then it goes through its digesting composting process over time, and then the end result is compost that we can use, and we will use that compost in our landscaping and in our production of native plants. Upper Bound students at the university, they're engineering students that were here for a summer program, and they dug in a system, they built a system that they dug in a trench, put in a water line that feeds to a second rainwater tank. And then they've put on a solar panel, and the solar panel runs a motor that pumps the water from the one tank to the other tank, so that we can collect that water in the other tank, and then that other tank can then gravity feed a garden where we were growing food for the food bank. And so here were people that were in a disadvantaged economic situation, learning engineering, and figuring out a system to grow food for people of an economic disadvantaged situation so they could eat. And so for me, that was this complete social cycle of being able to have people that needed, to gain help themselves, helping other people feed themselves. And so it was this really cool system. And we were using a system to collect rainwater and hold on to that rainwater longer. And so for us, it strongly lined up with all of our values and helped to complete several cycles right here on the campus. My favorite cycle is the bicycle. And I think that everybody should try to ride bicycles as much as possible because it's a simple thing that most people can do. I think that it's important for us to realize that if we use our own physical energy to propel ourselves around town, whether it's walking, riding a bike, whatever, even if it's a small amount of our time, if we take 20% of our time and say, I'm going to use that amount of time to walk or ride a bike, then we're reducing our demand on fuel. And really that also reduces our demand on water and all of those other things that support our system. So it really does help us make a big difference if we can look at how we get around and how we move around. We should all be drinking more water, so that we need to increase our consumption of that. But we need to decrease the amount of water we use for other kinds of things.